The New Greek English Interlinear New Testament verses on hell. English translations use the generic term hell for verses like Hades, Gehenna, and others, but the Greek does use specific word for these places. We would like to have a better understanding of what was actually said. First, Revelation helps us understand what Jesus is saying in his synoptic gospels. Revelation tells us that when Jesus returns, those taking the mark of the beast and false prophet, will be thrown into the lake of fire. The characteristics of the lake of fire is its burning with brimstone and its eternal fire. Revelation 14:10 reads, "Then an angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and his image and receives the mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever, and they will have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name." The torment of the lake of fire is forever and burning with brimstone. Next, second, after the 1,000-year reign, the devil is cast into the lake of fire, limne pyros, and there is that the great white throne judgment. Here the sea and Hades give up the dead, and they are judged and thrown into the lake of fire. Death and Hades is cast into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is the final destination of those not in the book of life. By this we know Hades is a different place than the lake of fire. We also know Hades is a place where the non-saved are, because they were not in the first resurrection of the righteous. Revelation 25. So Revelation gives us two locations which are not nice places to be: Hades and the lake of fire. One is a holding place until final judgment, and the lake of fire is the final resting place of the damned. Now we go to the synoptic gospels of Mark and Luke. These were written to Gentiles. Mark 9:43 reads, "And if causes you to stumble the hand of you, cut off it. It is better for you to enter crippled into life than the two hands having to go away into Gehenna, into the fire, inextinguishable." The term here used is Gehenna. Strong's equates this to the lake of fire. They are synonyms. The use of Gehenna is used frequently in Matthew's Gospel. Now let's go on to Luke's. In Luke, Jesus tells us a parable, 16:23, to the scribes and Pharisees who were deriding him. They were lovers of money. Well, he tells them the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. The rich man was in torment, on fire in Hades. We can probably conclude that this is hell, a temporary holding place of punishment until it is thrown into the lake of fire. Luke 10:15 tells us Capernaum is condemned to Hades for non-repentance. Now let's go to Matthew's Gospel. Matthew is a gospel for evangelizing Jews. Matthew has special challenges in writing for Jews. Whereas the Gentiles are new to Jesus, most Jews have already rejected Jesus. Matthew has specific objectives. He includes many details on how the Old Testament prophecies were fulfilled. And he severely warns of unbelief because unbelief leads to destruction. Most of them, especially the religious leaders, went on to destruction. This was prophesied. And this is probably the reason why he records a large number of warnings. He also, number 3, he also warns specifically on the sin of adultery. That is divorcing and remarrying. Deuteronomy 24 is no more. Matthew also records 3 parables of outer darkness: the unprofitable servant, the man with a wedding garment, and the unbelieving sons of the kingdom. This place is called the Skotos Exteron. This is how the Greek interlinear translation uses this in 8:12. But the sons of the kingdom will be thrown out into darkness extreme. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This is not heaven as some once saved, always saved teachers advocate. Context tells us unbelievers don't go to heaven. This is not heaven. This sounds like a description of hell. Generally, parables were given to the unbelieving crowd and to the unbelieving religious leaders. When Jesus spoke plainly, he talked about Gehenna. In Matthew 23:33, Jesus tells the scribes and Pharisees, "Snakes, offspring of vipers, how can you escape the judgment of Gehenna?" Gehenna is the word used. Jesus also gives the fiery furnace parables. At the end of the age, the tares, the bad fish are thrown into the fiery furnace, where there is wailing and gnashing of teeth. Revelation tells us this is synonymous with Gehenna. He speaks plainly about the sheep and the goats, followers and non-followers of Jesus. Non-followers who did not do his will go to the lake of fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Matthew is a very harsh warning for those who refuse to follow Jesus. Alternate religions will not save you. One must be a disciple of Jesus. Hades is torment, but a temporary holding cell for departed souls who have done evil without repentance and receiving Jesus. It empties into Gehenna at the end. There is no purgatory. Please be a disciple of Jesus. Get your name written in the book of life and follow him the rest of your days. God bless.